We're back.
And when the saints go. No, just kidding.
You thought you got rid of us, didn't you?
That wow. The last time we were all in this room together was about a year ago.
Should we hold for
Hold
plane?
for a plane.
We don't have a crew to help us.
Yeah, but like
that's-
regardless, there was always planes too.
Yeah, and the crew would say hold for a plane.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's not a representation of how broke we are.
Yeah. Plans, could you not? Because I have to edit this down. I don't want to have to pause every time there's a fucking plane.
No, we can't. We actually can't do that.
Wow. What were you saying?
So the last time that we were in this room together was a year ago, and
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
teasing after sharing, that we left.
Yeah.
We were teasing about a potential podcast or
Yeah.
potential something, and here we are. A year later, we finally collectively
Yeah.
decided to sit down together and make something happen.
It was actually a year ago, though, because I saw in my Instagram archives the day we uploaded the Q&A was
wild.
a year
It's
ago.
actually crazy that it was a year ago.
Yeah, it's weird. I think that just get used to seeing our faces. It might look a little bit different every week. We might have different backgrounds. We might have different ways of doing this, but we just wanted to do it. Like,
Get
let's
started.
just
Yeah.
do it. Because one, we already love each other. We're all best friends. So that's obvious and easy. And two, we just thought, knowing the three of us, if we don't start this shit, we will never do
We'll
it.
never, yeah. And if, in case you clicked on this and you're like, who the heck, what are you talking about? We used to all work on a YouTube channel together called Clevver Style, and then it ended. And then we were like, we're going to start something back up because there was an audience of people who, like still want to hang out with us, and we want to hang out with you guys. And then it took us a year, but we finally got together, and so we created a podcast.
Yay! Yeah, and if you don't know us, I promise you, we're like really funny.
We're a good time.
Just watch it.
We're a good time. And for those of you who are like, where's Madeline? She'll be popping in every
Yeah.
once in a while and saying
Yeah.
hello as well. It was hard enough to get three of us in the room together.
Yeah.
So
You
she'll
at,
be
least,
around.
you at least got us all three every single time.
Yeah.
2025, yeah?
2025 has definitely started off with a bang. It started in a way that I don't think any of us were expecting, to be honest. So things have been interesting.
What a time to start a podcast. You know what I mean? And we really said, oh, yep, let's do it now. The world's just crumbling.
Truly, I saw a meme the other day, and the guy was like,
funny.
"Bro, next week is still January," and then he was like,
Yeah.
"How many months does this month have?" And it has felt, which is sad because it's my birthday month. But it
Aquarius
has felt
season.
like the longest
Yeah.
3 weeks of my life. It's
Still have
crazy.
one more week left, which is insane. It
It
feels
ca-
like it's been like 10 weeks in
Yeah,
January.
it's insane.
It has felt like a long time, but it can take its time because that rent day is a coming. And I'm like, oof, no rush there. But yeah, lots of craziness has happened. Obviously, there's that man is in the Oval Office, but you know what? We did a group project with America and we did our parts. And now what happens from here on out is, you're getting what you wanted apparently.
Listen,
so
sometimes you do your part and you still get an F.
this is why I don't
And-
like group projects. I've never liked group projects.
Yeah.
And I definitely did not want to do one with the whole country, but
You
here
strike
we
me
are.
as one of those kids, mostly because I was one of those kids that when there was a group project, you just took over the whole thing.
Oh, I was literally just like, I got it. And everybody's like, cool, yeah. Because I
same.
wanted it done right.
Same.
You know?
And then you would meet one other girl that would come in and who would think she was the alpha, but you knew secretly that you were the alpha.
Yeah.
So she'd be like, oh, it's okay. I can do that. And I'd be like, what? Like, I'm supposed to take over this entire thing and no one's supposed to argue.
Right. Yeah. So
I'm
anyway,
not taking over a whole project for nobody.
I mean, listen, not now. We did our parts,
part.
okay? So yeah, with obviously, whatever. Not whatever, because it is what it is, but
On a lighter note, there's a lot of friends of mine that are getting in new relationships. Like someone over here.
Who, me?
And I really want to talk about the transition when your friends are getting married or they're having kids or they're starting a new relationship and how the dynamic shift changes between your friends. Like for me, when I was married, I felt like I had such a good balance with my husband. Like I made time for my friends. It wasn't like a thought. I didn't have to try hard to do it. It was just, he had his own life, I had my whole life or my own life, and then we came together and I made time for my friends. Now, I know everybody's different. And
Was it always like that though?
It was always like that.
That's really rare.
Yeah,
It was always
healthy.
like that, even when things were really great. Yeah. Like, of course, like as time before we separate, I'm like, I'd rather hang out with my friends. But it was always like that through my entire relationship. Now, if it's not like that, I understand that dynamics do change. And that's okay. Like your life is not going to look the same. The issue for me that comes in is when you are just a filler when that person's not around. That makes me upset. So if you're like, oh, okay, I can only hang out now. Maybe we hung out like 4 times a month, but now you're only hanging out once. I get that shift. But if you're calling me and you're like, hey, so-and-so's out of town, can you hang out on this day? So now you could only hang out with me because you don't have that other person in there. That's a little irritating to me.
I definitely think that is unfortunately a very common thing. I have had a friend that would literally fall off the face of the earth whenever they were in a relationship, and it was very casual relationships too. So it was like this would happen, cyclically. So every few months, it would be as if this person had disappeared, and then a couple months later, all of a sudden I was like worthy enough to hang out with again. And I never took it as something personal. I just think some people are built in the way that when they are in a relationship, they go in guns blazing, full force, head down, and all they focus on is that relationship. So I don't know if it's necessarily something personal, but I do think it's a character flaw. Like it's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think obviously the healthiest way just to find a balance, like just continue to be normal. Like when you do get in a relationship, you know what I mean? I get obviously like the honeymoon phase. You're gonna be spending a lot of time with your partner, but then once that's over, it's like, don't forget about your friends. Don't make them be like little fillers.
Or those friends that when they're in an argument with their partner, you haven't heard from them in like a couple weeks, and they're like, oh, like he did this or they did that. And then all of a sudden it's like, I need to go out and have some drinks. Oh, okay. Now that your relationship is not so amazing, you want me to take you out and have a good time, which I'm going to do. You're my friend. I want to encourage you. But it's like, can you keep that energy of like wanting to be friends throughout your relationship?
Is this something that you're experiencing like right now?
I want to make it clear this is not about me.
Imagine I'm saying all this and venting, and I'm like, so speaking of, Drew, we need to really work on our relationship because
I'm like sitting here. Yeah, I'm like sitting here. So, is there like anything else like that's happening? But I'm just curious because I'm just curious what made you bring it up.
I bring it up because I feel like it's not currently happening now, but it happens often. And I think most women, or not women, I shouldn't even say that. It's just anybody should be more aware of how they treat their friends during the time that they're in a relationship. Because here's the thing. I think some friendships are forever. Partnerships should be forever. But like when you're left alone, God forbid, and you've cut off all your friends, sometimes family members, whoever, and then that relationship's not there anymore, you're completely shifting everything. I've seen it too many times where somebody puts everything in their relationship, something goes bad, and then their whole life looks different because they don't connect with the people the same. They don't work the same. They don't, go out the same. And so they don't know what to do now that that person's not in their life anymore.
I'd say the thing I noticed is that like some people just start acting weird towards you. Like, and that's something new for me because this is really like the first time that I've been in a serious relationship and have been like public about it, So it's just interesting to see. Thankfully, it hasn't been like a lot of people, but I could think of at least like one person who has just like been kind of standoffish. And it's like, it's not, I haven't even gone through the whole, honeymoon phase. I'm not talking to my friends because I'm in a long distance relationship, So it's like being in a long distance relationship kind of eliminates that because it's like, okay, well, business as usual, But yeah, just somebody that sucks is like just seeing people switch up, and it could be one of two things. It could be either that person is feeling salty or whatever, which I don't think it's that because I wouldn't really hope I wouldn't be friends with somebody who would be like that, or it's just like maybe they're at a place in their life where
They're
maybe
projecting their own. Yeah.
It's
like
difficult to see somebody else like in a relation or be in something that they want themselves.
yeah, which is
Or they
like,
expect maybe you to change, and so they're like almost anticipating that there's something going to be different about you.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, what are we doing out here? We're just dating. It's not a big deal.
but
How would it change you?
yeah, I don't see why it would change. Maybe because some people do change when they get in a relationship,
Yeah.
which is whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but that's weird.
It is.
it depends on how they change, though. You know, if they're changing just in the sense that they're maybe a little bit more like in the house, then fine. But like if they change personalities, then that's concerning.
That doesn't make any sense. But I've seen it, and it also I'm like, this is not a persona, okay? Like,
Yeah, it's like
that's
still
so
just
weird.
me.
I'm
Yeah.
just as psycho as I was before I met Nils, and I
Yeah.
can attest to that.
I don't think am I any different? I don't think so. I think I'm the same.
I don't think you're
No,
any different
at all. At all.
I think you're worse. Just kidding.
But I think that's the transition with sometimes when people get in new relationships, clearly that's what they want to talk about. They want to share like, I'm happy and like, ooh, I love when he did this. Or
Yeah.
Some people can't handle those conversations, and that's where you're feeling the weirdness where they're like, ugh, like I wish I was happy, and you're hearing all these things about now a man. Whereas
Yeah.
that wasn't the conversations before. And we talked about this, like when you talk about Dylan for oops,
It's not a secret.
you know, I'm like so excited to hear about it, but I think other people would probably be like, or some people, like,
But I don't even think you even talk about it that much, like in a way that's obnoxious.
Yeah,
at all.
if anything, I feel like if someone says something that like reminds me and like, oh, like
very normal.
yeah, it's not like you
Yeah.
want to hear about
No,
when we held it. Like it's
Yeah.
No, because
No.
I
I'm
feel
just
like
saying it
I
might feel
would
like
talk
that to
about
somebody
it.
else
Totally.
that doesn't want, like what she was talking about that is projecting those things.
Yeah,
on
or is anticipating like, oh my gosh, every time I hang out with this person, they're gonna be talking about it, and that's not something that is gonna make me feel good. But
Right.
that would be really sad because I think like even as your best friends, like I don't feel like I still have to ask you sometimes.
yeah.
Like,
I've
so
been
tell me
so
about it. So
chill.
tell me about it. Like,
I've been
yeah.
so. But internally, I'm like,
Yeah, it's
wait.
really
So
great.
can I talk about
Yes,
it?
please.
After I just said I'd never bring him up abnormally, but like whatever. This is we allotted this time in the podcast for me to talk about him. So his name is Dylan. Hi, Dylan, if you're watching this.
Smile.
Shut up. Leave me alone.
Look at her.
This is the thing.
He better be watching.
For the longest, I was single because I wouldn't even say I'm picky. Maybe that's a word for it, but it was like
You were not picky.
but I just like I couldn't find somebody who I would want to be in a
Right.
relationship with.
Right.
Put it that way. Like
you weren't settling.
yeah, I refused. Okay, not saying Dylan's perfect, but like he's the first person who I was like, yeah, this is right, you know, and it really just feels. I thought that guy was wearing a mask outside. Sorry, that threw me off. It looked like a Bane mask.
That is a short kick right there.
So good. Sorry, that threw me off. It sounds so cheesy, but like now, ew, I don't even like talking about it. It's weird. But like now having him in my life, it's all of the things that I dreamt a relationship would be, you know, and like being in love or whatever. Like it really, it's like it's not to quote Aquamarine, but when JoJo says, love is the closest thing that people have to magic, and that's why everybody wants it so much. Like it's just so true, you know?
The fact that you can quote. How often do you watch Aquamarine?
That was my comfort movie growing up.
So
Like if I was home by myself, I would watch that if I was scared.
I think I've maybe seen that movie once, like 15
I don't even
years
know what
ago.
movie you guys are talking
It's about
about.
mermaids. Is it
No.
mermaids?
Oh.
Yes.
The mermaid that washes up on the shore, and then she becomes their friend. If you've never seen Aquamarine, you should watch it.
It's like I've seen it. I can't remember even the plot, but the fact that you can quote it.
That sums you up so well.
That you know what? Of all the things we've talked, that is alarming. That is the alarming thing. The fact that you're like, It's not to quote Aquamarine. Of all the movies to quote Aquamarine,
And it's the quote that you picked too.
that was a straight to VHS.
First of all, Aquamarine is a great movie. Second of all, that quote is powerful and has been one of my favorite quotes for a long time.
It is beautiful.
It is.
But it's just so true, you know? Like, I feel all the warm and fuzzies,
Aw.
and it makes me feel like a little comfort blanket at all times, you know? That's the best way I can describe it.
I mean, I love all of this. Like I love, and it's always made me really happy to see the people that I care about feeling not only that like loved, but when you do feel loved, it instills this thing inside of you that a lot of people know is there, like your self-worth, your confidence. And it's unfortunate that so many women do base that off of like what else is happening in their lives. But sometimes it's okay to be like, hey, I have a lot of love to give, and it makes you feel really good when someone else sees that, you know? So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like, oh my God, I was no one before this. It's more like I knew I was someone, and I was waiting for someone else to see that.
and to share it
And
with.
to share it with.
Yeah.
So I love seeing that, and I think it's great. Like between you and my sister now, and it's just like two people who I think viewed relationships very similarly and would not settle. So I do think it's great because you guys have both found this other person that has now seen you for exactly who everyone knows you are.
Yeah, no, totally.
And that was the biggest thing that I love seeing you in a relationship where you could be yourself. 'Cause
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
past, people that you've talked to,
I wasn't
you weren't
myself.
yourself. You weren't comfortable
And you were in
your
your
own
head.
skin. You were in your
Totally in
a
my
lot.
head.
And so, like, when you would just talk about like how you guys would interact and how you were so comfortable, I was like, finally, my friend could be herself, and be loved and be so happy, and you didn't have to little or make yourself small at all.
And it feels the way it's supposed to feel, you know? Like me being like, oh, I thought I was in love before. I'm like, no, you weren't. Like, you definitely weren't, because it's you just know. Like, you don't have to question anything. And I just remember when I thought I was in love before, I'd be like, oh, like, I don't know if he likes me. Oh, I don't know if I should be doing this. I don't know if I can take something as small as like makeup off. It's like none of that matters when it's actually real, you know?
Totally.
And you
I
don't
look
have to question
busted as
anything.
hell walking around my house.
Busted, okay? Literally was like, I spent Christmas with Dylan, and I literally was like walking around with tissues up my nose, like while we were watching, because I had nose drip, like busted my stars all over my face, souls it like just a hot ass mess, you know?
She's happy.
Shout out to Dylan.
Yeah. Shout out to
happy.
Dylan.
Yeah.
Shout out.
So little do you know, if you are looking for love, your person might just be on the other side of the world.
Damn.
I don't know if that's encouraging or
Yeah, I was
discouraging.
gonna say that's hopeful. If you haven't found the person you're looking for, don't worry. You might just have to travel to the other side of the globe.
Well, listen, with how things are now, you hear more people talking more negatively about like finding a person. So you're giving people hope, because it's hard out here.
It is hard
A lot
out
of
in
people
these
like are
streets.
just like giving up. Like
Yeah.
people aren't getting married. People aren't getting in relationships because they're like, the struggle is real, and people don't want to settle.
Yeah.
And they're not, especially women. Before, years ago, you'd have to settle for just for some security. Women aren't doing it anymore, and they're like, nope, I'm not doing it.
Now, I do think that also is a product of where you are. Like,
true.
I mean, like
1000%.
location, like physically.
yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say
Because-
timing too.
No, well, for sure. But I think the timing is taken a lot differently depending on, again, where you are physically. Because I spent most of my life in Chicago. And I will tell you right now, all of my friends are married. Most of them have multiple children. And it has always blown my mind, because I just kind of didn't realize it was different based on like where you grow up. People in LA do not get married at what is considered the societal norm age,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that a lot of us come to LA with the idea of we're moving here for a reason. Usually it's business, right? And so we are prioritizing ourselves, as we should, because that's a huge decision to make. You're putting a lot of money behind this. You want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself first before you even think about settling down. But recently, I think most of the reason why people don't want to get married anymore in LA is because ain't nobody have money for that shit. Like, you cannot afford to
Weddings are
even
expensive.
buy a place to live or even rent your own apartment. So how
real.
the hell can we even think about getting married? Unless it's just like one of those things you really don't care about, like the wedding and all the things. But I've been with Nils for 10 years of my life. I would love to own the house I live in before I get married. And that's a really hard thing for me to try to explain to my parents, where I'm like, yes, I get it. I know it's like, traditional. We're very South African. Yes, I got to get married, blah, blah. And I understand that. But also, I don't want to get married and then feel like the exact same way I did before I was married. I want to get married and be like, ooh, I am settled. This is married life. I'm not still worrying about the same shit when I was not married. It's like I want being married to feel like a new chapter in my life. And the only way it's going to feel like that is if I can get like that sense of financial security. And I was really freaking out about that for a while until like recently, where I started seeing like this is a major trend. Nobody in this city feels financially secure unless you are a legitimate like A-list celebrity. And I mean A-list celebrity because there are plenty of people who are working in Hollywood. We know plenty of people who are working who literally still fear about like when the other shoe's gonna drop and they're not gonna be able to pay their bills. And to me, it's
other people. I'm trying to figure that out. Me.
I know, but like people who are like even working like daily, it's like once the job stops, and it always stops. That's the awful thing about it. There's no job security here either. Then you quickly can realize just money doesn't go very far in this city. So to me, I just feel like it's so scary to like settle down in that sense, because I just want to feel different when I do that. I want to like know I'm going home every day and I don't have to. And I mean, stressing about money is fine. I'm not talking about stressing. I'm like talking about being like fearful. Like I don't want to be fearful anymore.
I mean, I think, and this is coming from somebody who like has been thinking about her wedding since I was probably like a nugget, like 12 years old, and has had folders on my desktop. Okay, so sure, in a perfect world, do I want this like lavish whatever wedding? Yes, but I think people put way too much pressure on
The wedding itself.
Yeah, and like trying to impress people, which I think is weird. Like just do whatever makes sense for you and your partner, like whether that means 25 people, 50 people, 100 people, whatever. But like you don't have to spend all this insane amount of money on whatever else when you need to save money so you can buy a house. You know what I mean? Like you can literally go to the justice of the peace, which I'm not trying to give any ideas, okay? Because I don't necessarily, for me, want to go to the justice of the peace. But I'm saying, like, people
With all
don't
that being said, I would still love a lavish wedding and a big giant ring.
like, don't do it for other people. Like, if you want to spend a lot of money and you can, then do it. But it makes no sense if you don't. If you need a car or if you need a house, that you're spending that money on your wedding.
Most people are going into their marriage already in debt because they want these
But
crazy...
that's the part that freaks me out.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into a marriage in debt.
Well, you absolutely shouldn't, because you're already like the number one issue between marriages
It's
are
finances.
Are finances.
Student loans. I'm not getting rid of those anytime soon. But other than that, yeah.
You don't want to pile on to that.
This
you know,
is
obviously.
Drew's opportunity to like let
Dylan knows. He
the
knows.
world know.
He knows.
Except for my student loans, which is something you will have to take on board. So just throwing that out there, it's a lot of money, okay?
Oh, he already
But your
knows.
college was beautiful.
Sure.
The best college ever.
I don't regret it. Shout out to Loyola Marymount University, but woo, child, expensive.
Yeah.
But that even trickles down to people that are dating, right? It's expensive for men to take women out on dates. Like, all in all, life is super, super expensive. So on top of that, think about trying to get to know somebody and you're taking them out on a date. And there's this whole other thing, too, of women just going out on dates just so that they could get a meal. Can you stop ruining that for the rest of us that don't need just a free meal, okay? Yeah. Like, men are scared to take people out because it's like, I'm not just paying to feed your stomach. I want to get to know you. And so
Also,
they're scarred by that.
I'm sorry, but I don't like going out to eat on dates, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, we talked about this too.
Do you like it?
Like obviously now it's fine, but like as a first or second date, going to dinner is not it, because the cadence, okay? First of all, the
Mouth
waiter
sounds.
or waitress, I knew.
Mouth sounds.
But the waiter or waitress, God bless them, we love you, but like they come over to the table like 5 times, so you interrupt the story. I can't remember what I was just saying. And then having to time out, like, okay, they're gonna talk, so I'm gonna hurry up and put this in my mouth.
Someone's not eating.
And
their food is getting cold.
It's usually whoever they're like, okay, so tell me about yourself. I'm like, okay, cool, because my lasagna just got here and it's gonna get cold in 3 seconds. You know?
And then also like they say something and you want to respond because you don't want to be rude, but you have a mouthful of lasagna.
Yes.
So then it's like ridiculous. Also, I hope you weren't ordering lasagna. That's the worst thing to order.
Whatever I was ordering, it was getting cold.
Listen, I went on a first date. One of my ex, he took me to sushi on our first date, and it was like, it's like the worst thing to eat.
I was about to say, I feel like that's the easiest. Like you grab one rolled shoe and like,
no,
you
because
think about it.
if you have to put the whole sushi in your mouth. Think about it that way. You can't take a bite of a sushi. Take a bite of a sushi, it falls apart. It's a mess.
I like when it falls apart, though.
No, I know, but then you just are eating slop in front of someone. Here, let me just pick up these little rice and seaweed chunks and chunks of fish. You have to put the whole thing in your mouth if you want to be, respectable. Yeah. So, but you put the whole thing in your mouth. A lot of those sushi rolls are pretty big. Yeah. You're not getting little baby ones. They're like this big. And I remember I put it in my mouth and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna choke and die on this date. I was like, and it's like so much rice.
You can't even take in air when you have a whole sushi roll in your mouth.
You have to focus. You're like, I need to, and your life starts flashing before your eyes, and then they're like looking up at you, and you're like, it was the most uncomfortable experience ever. And I went on another day where I met this guy at like a place here in the valley, and I remember like I was really nervous about this date, and it was like so uncomfortable. I just had immediately lost my appetite. So it was like really weird because I'm like literally sitting there forcing myself to eat because I had already felt so uncomfortable. And I just think, don't go do something outside. Let me breathe some fresh air.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like your first or second date with somebody you're getting to know them. Or your first date. I don't want to sit down and have a whole meal with you. What if I find out appetizer round that you're just like not somebody that I mess with?
During the appetizer?
What did I say? Appetizer?
No, I actually love the way you say appetizer because you've always said it like
appetizer.
That. Appetizer.
What do you mean? How am I saying it?
With an R, an extra R. Appetizer.
I did not say that. I absolutely did not say. I've never in my life said appetizer.
Roll the tapes.
Appetizer.
I didn't hear it.
There ain't no way I said appetizer.
Appetizer.
Why would I say appetizer? I mean, I do say a lot of words wrong, but appetizer, I've never said it in my life.
I heard it right.
Appetizer.
Now
I'm like,
no, you did. I didn't hear it wrong. But
that's why you should go get a drink with somebody, go get coffee, get a cocktail. That way, after one drink, it's like, oh, well, this was nice. Yeah. See you later. And then they don't break the pocket.
I totally didn't even think about that. What if you hate the person?
No, but I kind of think the opposite. I think that's the only redeeming quality about a dinner date is because there's a beginning, middle, and end.
That's true. Like, you don't have to, like, there's no... Is this continuing? Do you want to keep talking? If you are at some like a park or like you're outside.
Or even drinks, even though I do love drinks as a date. Like if it's a first date, it could go on forever. And there's not a clear out.
Yeah, like once the meal is off, she's right. Once the meal is off the table.
I'm like, oh, well, thank you so much.
Really? Oh, I can't even get off the phone.
Not after one drink. What I'm saying is like if you're having a drink, you're talking, you're hanging out, like maybe there's games at the, pool house or wherever you are. Yeah. And I was like, well, that was so nice. Thank you for taking time. It was nice getting to know you.
Well.
Yeah, that's what I try to avoid at all costs is the, all right.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know how to do it. I can't even get off the phone.
That's a good point with dinner, though. You're right. Like, yeah. Oh, one of my first dates was a hike. Lord have mercy.
No.
That is like guaranteed an hour and 30 minutes with the person. Then they want to talk to you while you're like hiking, you're huffing and puffing, getting to know each other. And then after the hike, he was like, do you want to grab something to eat? And I wasn't like, oh, well, I didn't. I said, oh, sure.
Did you want to?
I was like interested, but then it was like, oh, I didn't really account for like how much I'm going to be hanging out with him now. Anyway,
and then I was like driving to lunch, like, damn.
Yeah.
A hike is a ballsy move for a first date, but I also think there is something nice about, I don't know, I like read this whole article, this whole study for people with anxiety, which obviously is me, but a little bit of all of us, right? We all have our anxieties, but they were like, just try to spend as much time outside as possible. And especially when it comes to things that make you uncomfortable, like if you can have a coffee meeting with like at a job interview and like get a coffee table outside, do that. For dates, always suggest being outside because it does something mentally. It makes sense because it alleviates something in your brain. It tells your brain you don't feel trapped. So being outside, even I think if you were eating outside, I think that would have made me feel better. But just like being in an enclosed space.
That's true. Also, there's so many other things to talk about when you're outside. There's other people walking by and you're like, oh, hello. And then you're like, oh, wow, look at that. Isn't that so beautiful?
Totally.
It's a good transition between those blank spaces, if there are any.
What was your first date with Dylan?
Oh, we went to EPLP. But the rooftop.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that was nice because it was at night, so there was like no one there, and it was outside. We would stay there for a long time.
cute.
That was fun.
Aw.
What was your first date with Nils?
We went to the bar.
Yeah.
We went to a couple bars. We bar hopped that night. So we started at a bar downtown, and it was also like half outdoor, half indoor. And I actually told him right away. That's how I knew I felt good with him, because he was like, "I'm gonna get something to eat. Do you want something?" And I was like, "I don't eat on first dates," like immediately. And I was just like, "Oh," I was just like really honest.
Yeah.
And I remember he got like a grilled cheese, and I was like, "That is the craziest thing to choose to get on a first date." And he was like, "I'm hungry," and I was like, "I don't eat on first dates. Go for it." And then we just bar hopped.
Aw.
And we met up. You know what it was? Why it worked is after the first bar, the second bar, we both decided to invite our friends. So it was like immediate,
Oh, wow.
less stress on us
Yeah.
too. It's like
Yeah.
now we're just at a bar and there are people here we know and we can all hang out. And we end up hanging out till like 5 o'clock in the morning. It's
Oh,
crazy. Yeah.
oh, so cute.
good.
Well,
Drew's like,
wait, so this is the thing, okay? We're trying to be very cognizant, especially these first few episodes, of like not going too long.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're trying to get our footing with this, and also because we are our own production team and we have to edit this. So,
that's what we're at right now.
oh, see? Perfect.
All right, anyway.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I don't know if we like want to redo the intro to put this in, but just in case it's not in the intro, we went with "Are We There Yet?" Okay, and the reason why we came to that consensus after a long workshop is because we're in so many aspects of life, whether it's relationships, career, just trying to figure out which way is up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, are we there yet? But it's not negative. It's like just it's hopeful and like going through life, talking about it.
Start out as more like a joke.
Yeah.
Into the fact that like I talk a lot, so that's technically how it started, but it works in a lot of other ways because I can't talk a lot. So we were kind of going like, what's something that represents us? When the three of us are together, we will literally talk for hours.
For a long
For
time.
As if we
hours.
have never seen each other.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're meeting for the first time and we have to know all of our life stories.
Right.
That's how the three of us talk.
When we see each other like yesterday.
Yes.
And it's the same
And
thing
somehow
every
we
time.
have
It's
so
like
much to talk
so
about.
much to talk
hours
about.
later.
That's
It's like, y'all, it's time to go home. Are we there yet with this conversation? Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Land
Do
the
you-
plane.
Yes. You know how many times I've like snuck into my house like at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
And been like, I wasn't even doing anything bad. Like I was just with you guys talking. And
Yeah.
people, after Beyonce, remember? We got home at like 1. We were
No, what was the night? The pumpkin carving night?
pumpkin carving night. I left
We-
at like 3:30 a.m.
I think like 4.
it was insane.
late.
It was insane.
There hits a point that we're hanging out so late. It's like, do you go home and just stay?
I like it though.
I like it too. I like when people come over and like move in for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally.
Very domestic, you know?
That's why we decided to record it, and make it a
You know,
podcast,
that
because
was- that's a good way to land the plane. Yeah, it's like if we're gonna really be
that was the
talking-
second option for a title.
Yeah,
Land the
it's like,
plane.
yeah.
If we're gonna be hanging out talking for hours.
Might as well make money doing it.
Period.
record it.
You know? Period.
And now we get a designated every week spot to hang out with each other, which is exciting.
It is exciting. And like, if you were a fan of Clevver, I know this is a different format of hanging out with us because we're not like trying on clothes, but never say never. You never know. Might be trying on clothes in a video here or there.
That email collab.
Right, we tried on.
You'll see us right in the middle of this show.
Oh, no, 1000%. But it's just another fun way, to hang out with us once again. Oh, we started a podcast, you guys.
Thank God.
Right? Thank God, because we've been planning this for so long.
So long.
we finally did it.
I'm proud of us.
I'm proud of us too.
Do you guys want to know what my remember how I said I had one other thing I wanted to talk about? We'll save it. It was about serial killers.
Oh boy.
Because while I was driving, Nils and I like found out that like this one highway has a lot of murders. And
Here in LA?
it runs like it runs all across like the
Ghost Town Road.
no. It's the I-80, and like the I-80 killer is still out there.
Why would you say that?
Are you planning on getting on the I-80 anytime
Not
soon?
now, but I'm glad I know.
She's like, I gotta take the 101 to get home.
Janae, what the hell?
I'm just saying. I was gonna bring it up today, but I was like, okay.
Wait, that's his thing, the I-80 killer. He just wants to kill people that are on
They think
that.
it might be more than one person, but it's like truck drivers, I believe. But there have been multiple missing people over the past like 30 years. And I was gonna tell you guys all about it and like some of the standout cases because they found some people in like very weird, scary ways. And so we'll save that.
Next time
Our Valentine's
on
Day
Are We There Yet?
episode.
Yeah. That is a Valentine's Day movie coming out about like a slasher that kills couples. Did
I
you see
love
that
that.
commercial?
I love that.
It's called like Hard Eye Killer or something.
Ooh, I like that.
nice.
The hard eye killer. Oh, that's
Listen,
Ooh, I cannot wait to do like reality TV show reviews on this podcast if you guys are into it. Because
or like
all the-
Christmas episodes. Sorry, that's all the what?
January, bitch.
We just left Christmas. Like Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Those like recaps, can't wait.
Like Christmas.
Well, the theme. Well, that's the thing. That's what I like about this. Is it's going to be an eclectic podcast. We're going to talk about everything and anything.
Yeah, I think this was a good way to start because you are in a brand new relationship
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah.
it's a nice way for us to also catch up with you and like where you're at.
Hi, Dylan.
Dilly, 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 dilly. Do you call him Dilly? Please don't.
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
I call him Dylan or Duff or Dill Pickle.
Dill pickle.
Dill pickle is
That's
cute.
good.
I like it.
Oh, but guys, subscribe.
Do it.
Subscribe, and that's on YouTube. What do people do if they're listening to
They
it?
also can follow the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes.
But yeah, you can just follow the show and turn on your notifications so that you know whenever we drop a new episode. And then if you guys want to follow us on Instagram, head down to the show notes. If you're listening, in the show notes, you'll find all of our ats and just a little brief blurb. And if you're on YouTube, then obviously, head down to that little caption area to get all of our information there too.
You're. What happened?
That's what. Never mind.
Did that trigger you? Was it one of the dates? Oh no.
The ex. We'd be like, you're.
Which ex?
Yeah.
What? You had an ex that went you're?
All the time, Drew.
Who? Wait.
Yes.
Never heard him say that.
How did you never hear
I
him
only
say
hung
that?
out with him like.
Oh, not Beyonce.
I only hung out with him like. Oh my god.
Sinead's triggered.
I'm sorry,
Wait, Sinead's triggered. No,
I didn't know.
He did it all the time.
At Beyonce, he started doing it, and Sinead was like, "Who's?" Before she knew, because that was when you first met. She was like, "Who keeps saying like you're?"
You. Oh my god. Did you do that on purpose? I
No,
did-
it's fine.
Oh.
It's a very New York thing. Everybody in New York goes, "You're."
Well.
Anyway, I'm gonna need you to stop doing that. Yeah, that is wild.
Sorry.
It like hit me all of a sudden. I was like, that's a Raven. Like,
I haven't
is
heard
that?
that in quite some time.
Trigger the hell out of you. I'm sorry. I did.
I said, wait a minute now.
wait a minute,
I didn't. Damn. The universe has mysterious ways of just triggering you, doesn't it?
that's crazy.
You're-
I forgot about it until right then.
Anyway, we would like to thank our sponsor. This is the part where the sponsor would go. If you would like to apply and sponsor this is the part where we will shout you out again at the end of the episode.
We're like honestly, we're like really good at doing sponsorships too.
Yeah, pretty good.
So we'll do the things, we'll do the things, we'll try the things, we'll eat the things.
This is the part where the outro music plays.
Yeah. And then it's like the weather forecasts where they turn to each other and then they start doing it. Let's do that.
yeah.
Ready? So it's like, all right, you guys, we will catch you next week.